What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome to another Resplendent review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Sigurd and I'll be going over the builds that you can run on him, and at the end I'll also have a special segment. So Sigurd is a Gen 1 Sword Cavalier with Divine Tearfang as his preferred weapon. This did get a weapon refine, I believe back in 2020, so this is not really all that old and it's not the worst weapon refine actually. So it gives him +2 resistance and it does give him +10 attack and defense basically with this weapon. And if the foe uses magical attacks, or basically if they're a mage, then he can reduce the damage from foe's first attack by 50%, and then with the weapon refine he's able to get the guaranteed follow-up attack. So definitely not the worst weapon because it does give him the guaranteed follow-up attack, which can definitely be pretty helpful if you're running like a low investment and low merge Sigurd, because nowadays units are going to be crazy fast. So compared to a lot of Gen 1 refines, this is not the worst option, but still this could be replaced by many of the arcane weapons, especially Arcane Devourer, which we do have now. So if you're going to be heavily investing into him, then the cost is not really too high because you're going to be missing out on running Crusader's Ward, his exclusive Stopy skill, with an arcane weapon, but Crusader's Ward isn't really all that enticing anymore. It does give you 80% damage reduction on the consecutive attacks from ranged enemies. So when he came out in like Gen 1, Reinhardt used to be like a big threat. So back then, this did mean something, but nowadays you're not really going to be trying to actively use him to tank mages. Crusader's Ward may prove to be useful here and there, but still, overall a trace skill is just going to be better for a cavalier like him. So Crusader's Ward is not the most useful exclusive skill, and it can definitely be given up for an arcane weapon, especially Arcane Devourer at max investment, and more speed is definitely going to be nice for Sigurd because he is not the slowest compared to a lot of these sword cavaliers or cavaliers in general that we have from Gen 1. And unfortunately for him, there's just too much competition from his own son like Brave Seliph, and even his legendary version I suppose, where he just has a better niche because of Holy Knight Aura, and there's also legendary Nana, and of course Rearmed Crom himself is a pretty amazing offensive cavalier. So when it comes to sword cavaliers, he's going to be one of those units that you invest in if you really like his art or you really like his character. But other than that, he's not really going to be the most incentivizing unit to build up, as is the case with a lot of the Gen 1 units. But Sigurd is definitely, viable with his stats, and especially at like high or max investment. So if you're going to be building him up on a budget, then you can simply give him attack defense solo or attack defense catch as a sacred seal and run bonfire as a special, because he does get +10 defense from his weapon refine. So he actually ends up having like over 50 defense essentially with this even budget build, so you can definitely get a lot of damage out of it. Moonbow could also be an option if you want to have a lower cooldown special, but I do like bonfire, especially on a lower merge Sigurd where he's going to be getting doubled quite a lot. And Divine Tearfang's guaranteed follow-up attack does help at this kind of low investment where he's not really going to be very fast. But if you're going to be investing a bit into him, then a Fallen Gustav is definitely going to be really appreciated by him for a lot of the different skills like attack defense catch 4 and attack defense near trace, and also attack smoke 4. So attack smoke 4 is going to be helping you get the follow-up negation, which is helpful because Divine Tearfang does give you the guaranteed follow-up attack, and then you can get the follow-up negation with attack smoke, so you can pretty much have an Omni Breaker effect. Of course, a lot of the faster enemies with null follow-up are going to be able to deny any of that, but still it is going to be a good skill to be run, especially if you just want to invest into his attack stat and his defense stat with attack defense catch, and you can just replace Crusader's Ward with a trace skill, as that is going to be giving you the Canto, which is going to be really helpful. Now you can definitely give him the arcane weapons, and Arcane Elutnir is going to be decent on him because at the very least it does bring bonfire to 2 cooldown, and it does have guard built in, and also the follow-up negation, so he doesn't really have to run attack smoke as a slotsy skill, and you could maybe use this kind of build to use sturdy surge from the divine codes and trigger bonfire and do a lot of damage. Arcane Elutnir can be a decent weapon if you're going to be running a build like this, but in my opinion, if you're going to be heavily investing into him or just max investing into him, then Arcane Devourer from Fallen Crom is the perfect weapon for him because it does try and make use of his speed, and it also gives him the full null follow-up, which is really helpful because it is not easy for the cavalry units to get the full null follow-up. And you actually get the damage reduction against any kind of opponent on their first attack compared to Divine Tearfang, which only gives you the damage reduction against the mages. So yeah, this can definitely be an option if you especially want to use Gale Force on him, because the special charges that you get out of Arcane Devourer is going to be freeing him up from running Heavy Blade or anything like that. So it can definitely be worked out with the Clash skill, which you can get at the same time when you're going to be getting Arcane Devourer. And you can just run him with Speed Defense Neotrace. And you can also get Speed Defense Menace from Divine Codes 4 from Summer Dimitri. And if you're going to be investing even more into him and you want to run him as a mixed phase unit, then you could use Speed Smoke 4 and pretty much use him with Ether. So when you have these special charges, it's not the worst thing to run Ether for the healing and self-sustain, and Speed Smoke 4 could be an option, especially at like max investment. So it can help him get the damage reduction and basically stack it up with Arcane Devourer. He's not going to be the fastest sword unit out there, but still, this is something you can do at max investment. And then finally, to make use of these special charges that you get from Arcane Devourer, you can also use a Sword Sparrow player face build. So you can just run Ignis, and he's still going to be hitting hard, even though we're not really going to be stacking up any kind of defense with this kind of build. Still, like, being fast is really useful with Arcane Devourer. So a Sword Sparrow build can work out with the high cooldown special, and he can definitely hit pretty hard. For my Theorycraft section, if I had to improve him a little bit, I would pretty much try and modernize Divine Tearfing a bit. So I would pretty much make it so that he can get +4 to all of his stats, so that he can actually make use of his speed. Again, which is useful at like max investment. And I would pretty much make it so that he can get the damage reduction on foes first attack, and not just from mages. So the damage reduction is now kind of similar to Arcane Devourer, and I at least want to make it so that Divine Tearfing and Crusader's Ward is at least like a side grade compared to the Arcane Devourer or any of the arcane weapons in the future. And I would definitely give him, another effect from his Weapon Refine where he can do true damage based on 20% of foes' defense. So this is basically kind of similar to what Brave Seliph can do with his weapon, but of course you can get even more true damage. But at least getting some kind of true damage based on foes' defense can be helpful to Sigurd so that he can do more damage against a lot of the bulky opponents. And Sigurd doesn't really have the highest attack stat by modern standards, so this kind of true damage is really going to be helpful, and at least it's something more compared to what he had before in Divine Tearfing. So I've only done a few changes to modernize Divine Tearfing a bit so that he can at least, try and run this weapon. I really wish a lot of these older skills would just get some kind of remix, and they would definitely breathe in new life to these units. So if I had to remix Crusader's Ward, I would just make it so that he can get the 80% damage reduction against any kind of consecutive attacks, and not just from the ranged enemies. So this can pretty much make him like a Sword Cavalier Brave Ike, which is definitely not a bad thing, and this can definitely be really helpful against a lot of the Brave attackers, against Battlecatcher teams, against Winter Cordelia teams. So this can help him be a bit more bulky and at least give him like a better niche, and basically, just have more bulk with this kind of damage reduction. And I would also give him Canto 2 built into Crusader's Ward, so that is going to be decent enough because he wouldn't really have to run a trace skill, and the flat Canto is actually going to be really useful. And Sigurd is known for his mobility. Even like if you take a look at Engage, Sigurd is really the emblem for that. So these are the changes I would make to his Crusader's Ward, and it's not going to be the most insane remix, but it would definitely help his functionality a lot more. And he wouldn't really have to, just sacrifice his slot B skill for running something like a trace skill, which, a lot of Cavaliers run. It really kills me when you have to replace an exclusive skill, mainly because like they're older and they don't really provide any kind of like big utility, and you just have to replace them with something like a trace skill. So having Canto built in would be really, really nice, and it would just be perfect for Sigurd. So let me know what you think about my remix to his Crusader's Ward and a bit of improvement to Divine Tearfing to basically just improve Sigurd as a unit. Let me know in the comments, I'll be eager to hear that. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, you could always support me directly by using super thanks down below or by becoming a YouTube member. And for more FEH videos, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as putting most spell costume on Sigurd. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.